All right, are we on here?
Hopefully.
We're on. Okay, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
Who wanted to go live because she's not happy.
Oh, I'm mad.
So, what are you mad about today, Geeky Sparkles?
Pick one. No, what I'm mad about today is this flippin' hypocrisy of media. And you can explain because I'll just probably start swearing. So.
Okay, so there has been a lot of backlash against the backlash in regards to Shira and other reboots. I mean, Shira's not a unique case. Anytime there is an unnecessary reboot or reimagining of a beloved franchise, a contingency of fans complain about it, and pop culture, far left pop culture media is there to call them a bunch of whiny man babies, a bunch of whiners, a bunch of regressive incels, and all kinds of nasty, dirty names because they don't like change. They're dinosaurs. They don't like change. I pulled up the definition of hypocrisy at Geeky's suggestion because we're seeing a very hypocritical attitude toward the announcement of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot from the same people. The same people who have criticized Geeky and others who don't like the Shira reboot.
Oh, no, when I get acknowledged, because I'm a woman,
you don't exist.
It's all man babies.
Right. The same people who have smackdown Star Wars fans who are unhappy with the direction the franchise is going in.
But if you touch their darling.
Right.
Then all hell breaks loose. So what is hypocrisy?
Hypocrisy. Noun, the practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not conform. Pretense.
Yes, like, saying that Shira is necessary and it's not for you and you need to get over it. It's just a bunch of man babies who are mad because Shira doesn't have boobs. And now Buffy is a beloved franchise that does not need a reboot. And we don't understand why they would even reboot this because it's perfect just the way it is.
Yeah, let's just show. Okay, so here's Vox. Again, another, here's, we talked about Ania Sarkeesian in an earlier video.
I'm so mad. I can't even talk.
About how she, was again, man babies. They're all like man babies, right? This is Vox. The fight over Shira's Netflix redesign explained. Some men are mad she isn't sexier.
Bullshit. I mean, some people are mad she's not sexier, but most people that are mad are women, and it's not, and it's just because it's not even Shira. She's Hira.
So this is a mere, not even I guess it's been about 2 weeks. So Vox is coming to the defense of the new Shira cartoon, frankly, because I think most of the people writing for Vox are too young to remember the original cartoon. It means jack shit to them. But now Buffy's getting a reboot, and they're not happy.
No, because they're going to make her black. So what?
Well, they're not coming out and saying that's what they are.
Yeah, they are saying that's what they're going to do.
So, yeah, we don't want...
we don't want it because the original series was already inclusive. So was Shira. And they had Black Slayer. So why can't we just do a spin-off and not make it Buffy, but make it a different character and a different story that's about vampire hunters? Which is what people have said about Shira. Yeah. Why couldn't you just do another story that's not Shira, but Shira-esque, and not drag Shira through the mud, or make it a different character, or make Shira look like Shira and make another character your, androgynous character?
Well, you had a good idea too.
Yeah, make it her daughter.
Yeah, why not make a sequel to the original series?
That's what they did with Hocus Pocus.
Some new characters. And, don't touch the original characters, just kind of leave them as is. They were actually going to do that. Now, this is true. They were actually going to, at one point, Filmation was going to do a sequel to the original Masters of the Universe series with, I believe it was He-Man and Teela's son. And they had the story Bible all written out and everything. And this was 10 years after the original show. This was going to be in the 90s. Instead, they did Outer Space He-Man by a different company. But,
yeah, that didn't go very well.
Yeah, it didn't go very well either with doofy, googly-eyed Skeletor. But that might have actually worked too, because then you could have pleased the old fans and the new fans, and you didn't need to change it just for the sake of changing it. But yeah, this is incredibly hypocritical. So this is Vox. This is great news for Buffy fans. However, the original series already had multiple characters of color who could factor into an inclusive reboot, including the Black Slayer Kendra and the First Slayer, as well as other characters. As a result, some fans reacting to the news of the reboot online have expressed confusion as to why a reboot has to race bend Buffy when it could simply focus on a different character.
Yes, like
what?
Which is what everybody's saying. Why do we have to do Shira again? If you're going to do Shira again and you're not going to make her look like Shira, why couldn't you do a different character?
Some fans have even questioned the need for a reboot of Buffy at all over another vampire fable written by a woman of color. You could take this and say some fans have even questioned the need for a reboot of Ghostbusters at all.
Or Shira at all. Over
another science fiction fable written by a woman, you know. I mean, there again, there's no the Buffy situation completely destroys any credibility that these outlets had for, you know, throwing rocks at quote unquote man babies. Even though you are a man baby, apparently you've been one of the most vocal critics of New Shira.
So mad about the hypocrisy, and I'm going to call this shit out because that's what this is. And I'm so tired of them being allowed to say whatever the hell they want, and no one's allowed to say anything back. Well, you know what? Kiss my butt. We're saying something back, and I'm trying very hard to be good in this episode because there's a lot I want to say, and I'm trying to be, you know, at least quasi calm. But this is bullcrap. One thing, if you know me, I hate lying and I hate hypocrisy. Those are the two things I hate more than anything. And double standards just set me off. And this is a double standard.
It's a double standard because, at least from my, you know, uneducated man baby point of view, it's a double standard because they actually care about Buffy. They don't give a shit about Shira. They don't give a shit about Ghostbusters.
By their ages, they grew up with Buffy, and they're mad because how dare you touch the show that I love and mattered to me, and it was important to me growing up. Well, you know what? Guess what? That's how the Shira people feel too. And you know what? There's a lot of women who feel that way, but you keep ignoring them to focus on the man babies because your go-to for everything is blame it on the men. Well, you know what? Fem babies, put your diaper on and shut the hell up because you're doing the exact same thing. Sorry, and the man babies writing them, I call you fem babies too because you know what? You're not men, you're women. You're fem babies. You don't exist.
So here we go again, the Mary Sue. This is actually what set Geeky off because I had retweeted an article on the Mary Sue from just some guy who I freaking love his YouTube channel. We watch him quite often, actually. I think he's a really good guy. So this is the Mary Sue bashing men. Because it's all men, Geeky.
Oh, yes, you know.
It's all men
I don't exist.
hating on Shira. We're in love with the new Shira design. And the awful men hating it, it's just a bonus. We love that these men hate that we're taking their show and turning it into something else just because we can.
And you know what? I'm hearing it mostly from women that they hate it.
Yeah.
That would go against Vivian's narrative.
Okay,
Vivian needs to get her head out of her ass and start paying attention to what's actually going on and not just spinning a narrative that she wants to hear. Sorry, it's what it is.
Okay, so this is Mary Sue. Now the same website, different writer, same website today. No, I don't want a Black Buffy reboot, and here's why.
That's a different writer, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
But at least be considered. But again, we're seeing the same news outlets that were bashing men. Because they won't even acknowledge that women don't like Shira.
That's why I'm mad. Right.
They're bashing men for hating the new Shira, but when it comes to Buffy, that is a sacred cow. Buffy cannot be changed. And they apparently, you know, they're not as progressive as you would think they would be, because you think they would be totally down with a Black Buffy.
But this to me, like, you know, you want to call people names and you immediately yell misogyny, you immediately have bigotry. This to me is bigotry and racism. And how come you're allowed to say these things and be racist and say whatever you want, but then if I, as a woman, don't like Shira, first of all, I don't exist. It's all men. Apparently I have a penis I'm unaware of. And secondly, you know...
Well, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, I know.
But that could be fun. Wait,
no. And secondly, you know, I lost my train of thought because you derailed my thought with your penis talk. Anyway, I said, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, you're a man. That's all you care about is your penis and what you could whack off to with Shira. So
that's right.
You know, my opinion as a woman, and what makes me I'm a person of color, so I mean not me, but someone can say I'm a person of color, so I don't think that Buffy should be black. Well, I'm a woman, and I don't think Shira should look like a boy. I mean.
Yeah,
hello.
I completely agree with. Now there are a couple arguments coming out now that some African American fans are like, we don't want hand-me-downs. We don't want white characters to be repurposed. You know.
Sorry, he's looking at. We finally figured out how to get the comments.
Oh,
open.
hey, somebody.
Anyway, yes, and we have said it before. We said that before. Why, when they do comic books, do they have to take established characters and just race bend them, or suddenly they're different sexual orientation or something like that, or now they're a woman? Because it's insulting to the people that they're supposed to be representing, because they couldn't carry their own character on their own. You have to use an established character because they're not good enough on their own. And in that argument, I do agree with them. It is kind of insulting. I've said it before.
So we have. Oh, thank you, Fire X, for the super chat. We weren't asking for super chats, but Neon, nice seeing you at the Ram Ranch last week. The 18 Naked Cowboys need you, man. Yeah, I know. I got to take one for the team. I do. I got just the whole team.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Geeky? Because
No.
I'm progressive, and it's just how
No.
I roll.
And yes, okay, no.
Okay, but thank you.
But I hate hypocrisy. Hypocrisy irritates me to no end. Double standards irritate me to no end. And that's all this is basically these people are younger. They grew up Buffy, which ironically, Buffy and the cast are our age. They grew up with younger, that when they were on the air when they were younger, this is what they grew up with, this is what they love, and you can't mess with what they love. And they don't understand that's the exact same argument people are giving about Shira.
Yeah.
Because you know what people...
And any franchise, I mean, anytime some longtime fans of a franchise complain about changes or unnecessary reboots, these news outlets, Mary Sue, Vox, IO9, the list goes on and on and on, Uprocks, they're always there to make sure that those fans know that they're just a bunch of stupid whiny man babies.
They keep blaming it on men, and it's not always men. In this case, it's almost all women who are bitching about Buffy. But we're gonna call you all men because that's the way we're gonna pretend that you're all men and that you're ruining everything because we can't give them credit for being female. We can't do that.
So let's go back to Ghostbusters now. To be fair, I didn't think the all-female Ghostbusters was terrible. I actually thought it was
well, the dance number was pretty
the dance
bad.
Well, that was they cut that out
out
of theatrical version. But again, it was something that really did not need to exist because the Ghostbusters was sort of a perfect movie for the time when it came out. It's a bona fide classic. Most people felt like it didn't need to be rebooted. Now, because some male fans came out and said, hey guys, rebooting Ghostbusters, and just gender banging the Ghostbusters probably isn't a good idea. And this doesn't look very good, and this wasn't thought out very well. Well, they were misogynists. Mm-hmm. They were awful people.
And it bombed.
I mean, because the general public was like, God, rebooting Ghostbusters is a terrible idea. It's just you don't reboot Ghostbusters.
And the original was funny, but it was funny. It was almost like a higher brow funny, if that makes sense, than the new one. It was kind of like, I thought the humor was a lot lower than the old ones. I mean,
it was lowbrow. It was, the original Ghostbusters. I mean, honestly, the humor was, I thought was smarter.
It had nothing to do with them being women. It was
just the way it was written. It was a very groundbreaking movie. For its time. But again, it's these studios, they greenlight these projects because they want that brand recognition.
They're afraid to take a risk on something that doesn't have that recognition to it. So now that's why they're reboot happy with everything. And I think people wouldn't care as long as you keep it at least close to the source material. I mean, everybody understands there's going to be updates. This sounds like the only thing that they're really changing is they're making it a black lady. And the thing is, they said it doesn't really matter. It was a mantle that was passed on. So this totally works for this.
Yeah, and the thing too, people are forgetting about, and this really goes to the root of the hypocrisy and just how far the hypocrisy goes. This isn't like you've got another party coming in and commandeering somebody else's work and pissing on it. And trying to change it.
Shira?
Right. And like so many of these reboots where it's like, oh, I grew up with whatever show, so I'm going to piss all over it and give it my own personal rinse. This is Joss Whedon himself.
You made a Ghostbusters joke there.
I did. This is Joss Whedon himself coming back to his creation that he created and saying, hey, let's do it a little bit differently this time. And they're
let's be more inclusive.
Flipping out. They're flipping out. You'd
think
they would be like,
inclusive as long as it's the inclusivity they want to see. Let's put it that way. So, but here's my comment. What were you going to say real quick?
Oh, somebody said Ghostbusters fans want the sequel, not a reboot. Actually, with Ghostbusters...
That's what we were saying, too.
Yeah, like, even the new Ghostbusters, had they actually tied it to the original Ghostbusters and made it a Ghostbusters 3, and even had, like Holtzman be, Egon's daughter or something that they could have
Holtzman
had.
was like the best part of the
Yeah,
movie.
I did like Holtzman.
So-
I don't think there would have been as much grumbling, but I guess the reason they did it, from what I understand, the director's like, well, we can't have the men invent the technology. They have to invent the technology.
Except for the black lady who's not a scientist.
Except for the black lady
She
who's
just works in the subway.
exactly a gender swapped Winston. I mean,
Winston,
the big
they
complaint.
gave him more credit than they give her.
Oh my God, the big complaint everybody had about Winston was like, you have the three white scientist dudes, and then Winston, who's like an everyman character, and you do the same thing when you have a chance to reboot it and quote unquote fix things. You do the exact same thing.
I know.
So it's like, don't tell me how progressive you are, because if you really were progressive, the black lady would have been a scientist.
Yeah.
And maybe you have an Asian lady too.
I was going to say something, and
Just
I
saying.
lost my thought of it.
Sorry.
No, but like they're mad about this, and you said Josh Whedon. Okay, that's what I was going to talk about. They keep saying with Shira, they keep saying, well, the co-creator says it's fine, and it's not, and fans, and they say this for Star Wars too, fans need to learn they don't have ownership of a character, that the ownership belongs to the Disney, or in this case Josh Whedon. The ownership belongs to them, and you really don't have the right to say anything. If it goes way you don't like, well, it's theirs. They can do with what they want. Well, back at you guys, because it's his. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
Whatever he wants, and you can't say this situation right here completely undermines any credibility you might have had with calling out quote unquote man babies, or calling out toxic man babies. This is the same thing.
It is the same thing. And it's like, well, I love Buffy. You can't do this to Buffy. I love Shira. I don't want to see you ruin Shira. And you know what I was told? Shira's not for you. Shira's for a new generation. Shira's for younger girls. Shira's for, everybody else but you, even though you're a longtime Shira fan. Heck, I was on eBay earlier trying to find an original Catcher figure, because I want a Catcher figure now. Dang it.
She was, and we were pricing
I'm gonna buy a Catcher figure. But
Catcher figures.
Because and like I said again, hey Mattel, I will give you my money if you do cool stuff. If you make crappy things, forget it. But I'm just saying, it's not for you. Well,
right.
This isn't for you. This is
exactly. Okay, Anita Sarkeesian. Because you obviously were a fan of Buffy. This is exactly what fans of other franchises are saying. I'd be here for a show based in the same universe and lore, say for instance around Freya the comic, but Buffy comes from a very specific moment in media history.
As does Shira.
Especially feminist media history.
As does Shira.
I'm afraid no matter how talented the folks involved are, it wouldn't live up to it.
As we are for Shira.
All of it could apply to Shira. All of it could apply to like Ghostbusters, except for the feminist part. But I mean, seriously, like, why? But it's okay for them to say this because
yes, and clearly
it's
it is,
theirs.
because that's
it's
what
theirs.
I'm angry about too. It's okay for them to say it, and the media is backing them. So in the same media, we showed you examples. When one hand they're saying Shira fans are all man baby whiners who are mad because they can't, flick it to Shira, and then on the other hand they're like, and they're going, but Buffy shouldn't be changed. But
Buffy was feminist enough.
It was
but,
feminist, and Shira was, other than Wonder Woman. Can you think of a more
Shira,
feminist, strong female action hero?
Shira, for the time when it came out, even now, like, Shira holds up pretty well. It, I mean, we're talking, this is like what 1985, 86, and you had a strong female character carrying her own show, her own toy line. She wasn't like, and it was all an almost all female cast. That was unheard of in the 80s. That was like, usually they had the token female. Even
And
Wonder
then we
Woman.
got Jem after that.
Yeah, and that sort of paved the way for Jem. But even like, back then, like even Super Friends, like Wonder Woman was kind of the sidekick to Superman.
Yeah. Yeah, she often was.
Yeah, she was. And
I love the Wonder Woman. I
ensemble.
love the Wonder Woman show, the live action Linda Carter when I was a kid.
yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
to be Wonder Woman so bad. I had the underoos, and I knocked my brother into a garbage bag, and he cut his leg open. I'm still sorry about that. But I lassoed him, and he fell, and that's not my fault. He was a man baby.
He was a man baby.
No, I loved Wonder Woman. I've always loved Wonder Woman. I always loved Shira for the same reasons. And you know what? I can get underoos of that, and maybe I will, because I actually have Wonder Woman underoos right now. So maybe I need to go out and get Shira ones, because I know they make them.
I would find that incredibly sexy.
You can't, because you're a man baby. But you lived in the basement at your mom's house.
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't think my mom has a basement. Anyway, but yeah, this is a total double standard, and this just exposes. And the more we get into this, like we kind of got dragged.
why I'm so
I'm sorry,
angry?
somebody called me on that. Yeah, dragged into this situation with the social justice warriors, the far left comics media, geek media. We got dragged into it, and the more we start to look into it, you will see these people are fake. They are fake. They are.
Good.
No, I'm just saying they say what they think they need to say to benefit.
It's a hive mind.
Yeah.
It's whatever I don't think for myself. I have to do whatever. Oh, a couple big people are saying this. I better agree with that, And it's like, you don't think for yourself.
Anita said, I don't want to see a Buffy. I don't want to see a Buffy reboot. So then everybody else is like, yeah, like, oh my God, like Buffy, like, ew, we don't want to see Buffy. Buffy was perfect. She was so cool. But the same people will be like, if a man said, hey, why do you need to reboot Buffy? They'd be like, oh my God, you're a racist because you don't want a black Buffy.
No, they'll be fine with that because you're agreeing with them.
Oh, you're agreeing with
It's okay when men exist when they agree with them. That's okay.
Right.
That's why when I'm saying they're fem babies, I'm referring to men and women because apparently man babies refer to men and women on the other side. So fem babies are going to refer to these people. But my 10-year-old self loved Shira. Their 10-year-old selves loved Buffy because I'm assuming they were probably around 10 years old or 12 years old when Buffy was out. It's the same thing, people.
Nick wants to know how you feel about the IDW Gem comics.
I've read a couple of them. They're not too terrible. I mean, they made Kimber and Stormer a couple, and I always loved Stormer, so I wasn't very happy about that. But
of course, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, is there any like platonic female? Like, I'm not saying that they can't be inclusive in comics with lesbian couples.
I hated Kimber. They could do whatever.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I'm looking at these cartoon shows, and every time there was an episode where you had two female or two male characters go off in an adventure together,
then they have to start shipping them on the internet.
They ship them. Kimber and Stormer, they had the episode where they both
were friends.
Yeah,
and they
broke away from the band and they did that thing. And same with Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. They had like an episode or two where they went and they were doing the Thelma and Louise thing. Well, then they made them gay when there's no indication at all that they ever were.
Well, I will tell you the comic I'll take definitely over the movie. The movie they just completely, I don't know what the hell that was. But the comic I'll take over.
See the Dragon Prince trailer. They had a trailer?
Oh, I have to see the Dragon Prince
trailer.
So
the Dragon Prince gets a trailer at San Diego and Shira doesn't.
That's interesting.
That's
we were
telling.
just talking about Dragon Prince. We're like, well, why don't you hear about Dragon Prince anymore? Because you're just busy hearing about this stuff. We'll have to look at that later. But, what I'm saying is, about the reboots. It's like, why do you have to reboot everything? I mean, I understand, okay, I really liked the show as a kid. I like to do it again. But if I was going to reboot something that I liked from a kid, I would take what was good about it, and I'd keep it good.
Yeah.
And I'd take the source material, and I'd keep it the source material. I mean, I'd take Shira, I'd make her look like Shira. I'd make her look like a modern version of Shira, but she'd still be Shira. And that's what I would do. And I think if they had done that, people wouldn't be so... well, Catra clearly isn't going to be Catra either, but you know what I mean. If you want a Shira story that's not Shira, then make another story that's not Shira, but like if you like Shira, you will like this. And that would have been okay too. Or a sequel. Like, hey, here's Shira's kid, Elra, or something like that. I don't know what to call it.
Elra.
But, here's her kid, and here's her story. And we're going to go, because like I said, Hocus Pocus. There's a book out. And the new book is, like, part of the book is the retelling of the original story from the movie. And the second half of the book is talking about Danny, what was the other girl's name?
I should know this.
No, Danny was the sister.
That was the
Danny
sister.
was sister. The brother. What was her brother? Well, anyway, the two leads. The two leads that were my mind's blank. I'm too busy being mad about Shira. It's their daughter, Poppy, and it's about Poppy's story. But by the way, I think Poppy's a lesbian now. Because she's a new character. But that's okay because she's a new character and they're taking it and making a sequel. And you know what? That's fine. It's a sequel. They're not doing anything to the original characters. The original characters are still the original characters. We're moving on with their daughter and we're making a whole new story that's more inclusive. I'm okay with that. That's totally cool. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is that they redid Hocus Pocus and suddenly, Danny's this, big burly dude and her brother, whatever his name was, and, I can't remember. My mind's blank.
I know.
And the Sanderson sisters, will still be the Sanderson sisters because we have to have them all women. But you know what I'm saying? It's like
Sanderson sisters and brother. That would be kind of funny.
They wouldn't do that.
Like Heathers.
They wouldn't do a brother.
No, they did with Heathers. They rebooted Heathers.
Oh, that's right.
And they had
that actually looked funny though.
It does look funny because they were like
they were playing it for laughs.
They were totally roasting SJWs.
They were playing it for laughs.
The call out culture, SJW culture, and like SJWs. I don't think they caught on.
Well, I didn't actually watch the show, no, for sure, but that's what the trailer seemed to be.
somebody asked, Brad asked, what if the story and direction of the show is good? What then?
Well,
Actually,
then we'll say it. If the story and direction of the show is good, I will say,
before we
hey,
had,
you know what? This is actually good. I'm okay with it.
Solo.
I will say it.
We were both surprised by Solo being.
We thought it was going to suck for sure.
And it was actually decent. It wasn't. It was
actually good. We were talking about how we had to buy it.
Yeah.
If it was good, we'll come out and say it. And we took so much crap for coming out and saying it.
Oh my God, we had.
But we're going to tell you, if something
crap.
doesn't suck, I'm going to say it doesn't suck, because I'm not just going to keep saying it sucks just for the sake of saving face. I don't do that. If something is good and legitimately deserves praise, I'm going to say that was good. I mean, I have no problem doing that, and I will say I was wrong. That was good, and then I'll say, okay, I'll buy the toys. But if it sucks, I'm going to be like, yep, it sucks. Big surprise. So, if it's good, I will say it's good.
Yeah, it's
I don't cling to arguments just to cling to them.
What happened to Voltron? Actually, the reboot is pretty good. As I understand it, the fandom, though, is pretty...
The fandom's pretty bad from my understanding.
Pretty bad, and they're shipping characters, and they're trying to dictate... And this kind of happened with Steven Universe, too, where they're trying to dictate the direction of the show. I don't know how far it's gone.
There's no ownership to them. They're just the fans.
They
have no say in the show.
They made fan art. So because they made fan art,
no, but I'm just saying that's the argument they keep giving Shira fans and especially with Star Wars fans. I see it a lot.
Yeah,
you have no ownership. You're buying tickets and stuff does not give you ownership. Disney has ownership. Whoever owns whatever has ownership.
Oh, that was the dumbest thing I've ever. I forget her name, but that was the stupidest thing. You buying tickets to Star Wars doesn't mean you're supporting, or basically she's like, you're not actually giving Disney your money by buying tickets to their movies.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Do you not understand how economics work?
They don't understand how economics work. But beyond that, they keep saying about Star Wars fans especially that you don't have a say because they like the direction Star Wars is going. If they didn't like the direction Star Wars is going, they would be on all these places saying about how you guys were all man babies for liking it. So, but my point is, they can say that they have no ownership, that they have no right to say anything when it's what they like. But when it's what they don't like, then suddenly think they should have ownership even over the people who own it. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's the exact same argument in reverse.
This is the same argument in reverse. So yeah, I guess there's a bunch of drama. I'm trying to keep up with the drama of Voltron. I guess they're making Shira gay canon.
Is it going to make it canonical? I saw the fan art.
He was dead.
No, he's alive again.
He's alive again. I thought he was like...
It's like comics. They brought him back.
Okay, I was going to say that because he was basically Sven from the original series who died early on, and then they had the princess take over for him. But then in this one,
the princess brought him back. She took his body and and he returned him from the lion into his body and into a body. His body's gone. And I hope I didn't just ruin that for somebody. If I did, I'm sorry. You should have watched it by now. But I saw fan art of that, so I was like, oh great. 'Cause I know people were shipping them all the time. I'm waiting for them to make Elsa gay and Frozen because they kept wanting her to be a lesbian. Like, they kept saying they wanted her to have a girlfriend.
Here's the thing. I can't see Disney doing that with it, because Disney knows when it comes to the princesses, they know where the bread gets the butter from. And they know it's from families.
My mind's in the
gutter. He who churns his own butter burns. No, they know that, like, the mom bloggers will completely freak out. So they might imply, kind of like they did with the live-action Beauty and the Beast, they implied...
It was so mild. You couldn't
it was
even
mild.
Tell.
I mean, people made a bigger deal out of it than it actually was, and then
it was hilarious.
Yeah, but they might imply that Elsa don't need no man, but I don't think they'll flat out.
Well, the whole princess thing's another thing I have to do a video on some point, because I'm so tired of the whole, you can't like princesses because it's anti-feminist to like Disney princesses because they teach girls the wrong lesson. And I'm like, have you seen these princesses? These princesses will kick your ass. So I'm like, how, in what way is looking up to Merida a bad thing? Yeah. Merida, she's shot for her own hand. She's like, I'll kick your ass and take names. But you're not allowed to look at her because she's a princess. And so that's a whole other podcast that I go off on for an hour. But anyway, go ahead. Where else do you want to talk about?
I'm just looking. Somebody said they ship Elsa and her sister.
Okay, that's just wrong.
Oh God, that's gross.
That's just like putting Shira and He-Man together.
Let it go, Elsa. Let it go.
Oh
God, there's rule.
We were talking about the sword too. You want to talk about Shira's sword?
Oh no, people were talking about the. No, actually, the sword looks like This is my observation, right? Again, being stupid man baby, stupid lunkhead, dinosaur, meathead that I am. But I'm looking at the sword. One thing I noticed about is that it looks like her old headdress from the original cartoon kind of.
Yeah, it does actually.
But then the other thing I noticed is it looks absolutely nothing like He-Man's sword, and I think that's the point. I think they are trying to distance themselves from He-Man, because He-Man's sword is a very iconic design.
And he gave her the sword.
Right, and we can't have He-Man give Shira the sword, even though both swords came from the sorceress. We can't have He-Man give Shira anything, because that,
We can't do that because he's a man.
Yeah.
He's He-Man.
Yeah, but this is very much, we talked about it. It's basically, literally the people working on this show are, people were making comments about being very Tumblr-esque, but most of them come from Tumblr. They're Tumblr cartoonists.
Yeah.
Basically, a bunch of Tumblr cartoonists got plucked off of Tumblr and given complete control over this show, and
that's okay.
That's
but
fine.
Don't touch Buffy.
But don't touch Buffy.
And that's what I'm mad about. That's the whole point of this discussion is that I think it's absolute bullshit that people can't say, hey, you know what? I don't like Shira's new look. Why do we have to have a new Shira? Why can't we just leave Shira as she is and maybe do something similar? Or why couldn't you just do it? Maybe if you're going to change a character, leave Shira as the Shira and maybe change other characters, which you did anyway.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't we just, why do we make her look so far removed from Shira? You're just mad because her boobs are smaller. But then you guys are having to fit because she's a different color for Buffy. That's what you're mad about.
I'm like,
we're not gonna be mad because she has no boobs. Shira has no boobs, but you can be mad that Buffy's black.
So the same arguments.
Racist much?
Yeah, the same arguments. Give the show a chance. You haven't seen the new show yet. You don't know if it's gonna be any good. Joss Whedon is in charge. He created Buffy. It's his creation. He has ownership of Buffy. He could do whatever he wants.
And you know what? If you don't like it, this show's not for you anyway. Don't watch it. You don't have to sit here. Are you shaming people because of their race? Because that's what it sounds like to me. Like, I got accused of body shaming, but they're race shaming. I'm like, I get the point. The point is, why do we need a reboot? It's kind of insulting that we're just going to reboot Buffy and make her, black. I get that. I've said that before a bunch of times about the comics. I'm like, why can't we just make a new character that's, these things? Why do you have to constantly take out iconic characters, already well-known, established IP, and then gender bend them, race bend them, whatever?
Yeah, I actually agree with this. And this is actually, you've got, some black folks coming out and saying that they don't want hand-me-downs.
And I don't disagree with that.
I don't disagree with that. Look at Black Panther. He was a completely original character. The movie made a ridiculous amount of money, but it wasn't like they just took another white superhero and race bent them, to fit some niche, and it made a ridiculous amount of money. It's almost like they don't have enough faith in original minority characters, and it's the same with the comic books too. Like, instead of turning all the straight white characters into something they're not, create new characters, put them on equal footing with the established characters, put some marketing dollars behind them. They don't do that. They're just like, well, instead of, we don't have enough faith in this character, so we'll just, make this character the Hulk or something and sneak him into the Hulk, and then he'll take over the Hulk book. Or same with like Riri Williams, we'll sneak her into Iron Man because we don't have enough faith in this character to do anything else with her. And it's sad, really. It's sad because some of the best, at least Marvel, some of the best characters were the a lot of the minority characters. Like, you've never seen anything like this before. Black Panther, Black Lightning, other Storm, but you don't see that anymore. You basically just see minority, and again, it's like stunt casting. It's like you get these characters that are getting the hand-me-downs from the white characters. It is kind of,
it is
insulting. I'm a white guy, so take it for whatever. But I would personally be insulted if they're like, oh, well, we don't have enough, XYZ, so we're just going to take a white character and just, spray paint them and slap a fresh coat of paint on them.
Your character can't hold her own, so we're going to make, we're just going to take an established character like Thor, and now Thor is a woman, and, Iron Man's a woman. They tie it in, but still, you see what I'm saying? And it's like, and what's wrong with originality? When we were kids, everything was new and original because it was new toy lines and everything was new, and it was and originality was key. Now it's like you can't have originality. It's like everything is a reboot or a copycat of something else, and it's really frustrating. And just slapping a new art style on it and gender bending and race bending and whatever characters does not make it new. Now what? Am I in trouble for?
No, this is real. This is I like this is Ballad 90. I like how the new Shira is being aimed at the Tumblr crowd who are infamous for piracy. They ain't gonna pay for shit.
Exactly.
Oh,
that's what I
thank you.
said earlier. I will buy the toys Mattel. They're not gonna buy them.
We see so many now. I actually do like Steven Universe. Steven Universe is a new thing.
It's just I'll give Steven Universe credit. It's his own thing. It's original.
Right. How many Steven Universe toys do we see in the clearance bins?
A lot.
Because the Tumblr kids aren't buying Steven Universe toys. Kids aren't buying Steven Universe toys because it's not really a kid show. It's kind of a kid show. To be fair,
though, some of the toys they had out, I don't think were really geared at kids.
No, they weren't.
They were like,
like adult collectible.
Yeah, like Legos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, not that Legos aren't geared at kids, but they were more like for older.
Well, because they know the demographic. They know that, I mean, Steven Universe might be on Cartoon Network, but I think it's mostly young adults watching the show.
Right.
And the same thing will probably happen with Shira, where you might have a lot of young adults watching the show, but you're not going to have a lot of kids watching it. You're not going to have the older fans buying toys. So I'm like, what is Mattel? It's so weird. There's all this controversy about Shira and the designs and everything. And San Diego is a perfect time to announce, to show the trailer, to show a 30-second clip of the show so people get an idea for what the flavor is. It's coming out in 4 months. You know damn well they have it mostly done. And what does Mattel do? They bring out classic Shira toys.
Which I'm going to take this opportunity again to tell you. Please go to Twitter and tell Mattel that you want the classic Shira toys. Even if you don't buy them, do it for me because I want them. So I want them to bring them back out.
If you missed the previous recorded video, San Diego, the only thing we heard about Shira at San Diego was that Mattel is thinking about bringing out some collector edition dolls. I mean, this is,
look, she's got brushable hair.
It's
not molded hair. It's not molded. I'm so happy.
Catra is a maybe. And they also have now Geeky does have this Shira actually is sitting on our desk right behind the monitor.
I want to open it and he won't let me. So I want to open it so bad. And you're like, you can't open that. And I'm like, but I want to play with it. So anyway, but yeah, they'll go back to the other ones.
She was like $200.
I don't care.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, you want to talk about people dropping money on merchandise. This doll was like a $200 doll.
But I want to open her and play with her.
So they're also looking at maybe doing
which I'd open and play with.
And we got Catra, and they have a Tila in here somewhere.
There she is. There she is. She's a redhead with blue eyes. Yay!
Now
represent.
The sword looks like Shira's sword.
It kind of does look like Shira's sword. I noticed that earlier. It's very
might just be a redeco,
but yeah, it does look like Shira's.
But these are maybes. Now the thing is they have a hashtag, which we actually put up in a previous video. Mattel is watching this hashtag. Just FYI, Mattel's marketing people, they're watching this hashtag. It's hashtag Tell Mattel. Hashtag we want more Shira.
You can also hashtag we want more MOTU for He-Man as well.
If you hashtag that, I mean, I wouldn't hashtag it and just complain about, but say we really like the classic designs, the classic characters, we want the classic characters, we want more of that. And I think Mattel knows. I mean, there's a reason that they're showing these classic dolls and classic action figures at San Diego and not showing prototypes for the DreamWorks reboot.
Which they should. They usually would.
I think because the original shows were toy commercials.
Well, like I told you with Voltron, they waited for a season or two before they brought toys out for that because they wanted to see how it would do first. But anyway, what else were we going to... I want that doll. Isn't she awesome? I must have her. You can send me one, Mattel. I'm just saying.
Netflix will do the same in Gem and Holograms, probably. I'm trying to keep up. Sorry, guys.
I don't think they can do Gem and the Holograms because they already have it tied up that other movie, which was the only CW special, where Synergy was like a Eve from WALL-E type thing, and it was just a mess.
Somebody wants to know if Geeky can write an academic article. Can you two write an article, make stylized video essay? Your opinions are very strong. It would be nice to see them in more academic context so you get more publicity, especially Geeky.
Well,
because I think you're like
academically because
she's
do
a teacher,
write blogs
actually.
And I'm a teacher, but yeah.
So it just seems like a lot of women aren't. Well, I think that the women who are upset by this maybe aren't as loud on social media. Is that fair? Because you're looking at the comments on Facebook.
No, I see a lot of people complaining on social media.
They just get
overlooked completely because they're female. So basically, the way it's going is, if you're a female who agrees with them, you're golden. You're just proving their point. If you're a female who disagrees with them, then you don't count or you don't exist because that goes against their narrative.
Right.
And if you're a guy who disagrees with them, then you're just the man babies causing all the trouble and ruining all of the cool pop culture geek shows and geek things like Star Wars and Thundercats. And, you know, you're the ones ruining it, not these people. You are. And now Shira.
Me personally. I am personally.
I mean, men, you know, are ruining it because that's the only narrative they want to hear.
Men
which is
with their
men.
Stinky opinions and their stinky penises.
Well, if you wash it, it's not stinky. I'm just saying, but then the Buffy thing is the complete opposite, where they grew up with it, so now they're allowed.
Well,
they are allowed to have
a
media platform. Look, people, women and people who grew up with Buffy don't like it, so we need to stop this. What the heck are you thinking, Josh?
Exactly what this is. This is basically. You know, because you look at the ages, even the people working on Shira, most of them are in their 20s. They were not old enough to remember the original Shira, Masters of the Universe.
Which is okay as long as you respect the source material.
Yeah, but they have no emotional...
Because you can watch it. Anybody can watch it.
Yeah, but they had, like, no emotional attachment to it.
Oh, but they're emotionally attached to this.
They are attached to Buffy.
Pissed.
Yeah,
so my comment is, back at you, because that's all... this whole purpose of me going live was just about this, is that every argument you are throwing at people like me and going on to my comments and calling me names, attacking my parenting and everything else because I don't like Shira's design, the same thing's back at you because you don't want Buffy to be black. So racism much, I can start throwing ists back at you like right and left because you're just doing the exact same thing, and it's okay if you say it but not anybody else. That's what I'm mad about.
No one respects source material anymore unless they work on DuckTales. I actually will give them that. I give them all the props in the world. DuckTales, because I worked on the Duck comics for like 15 years.
Well, the reason we have Aaron on here and stuff is because he did Darkwing Duck and he does
right. And yeah, I'll give them that because there's so much they pulled from the comics that kept the flavor of the comics on the show, which I think it was a really good move because they're pulling the fans of the comics as well as the TV show. And
look, you can stay true to the source material and do an awesome show that's updated and cool. I'm just saying, it's possible. What else are you going to talk about? Because you look like you're confused.
No, I'm trying to keep up with the comments. So, but this is basically what this boils down to: is if it means something to you, you're allowed to be outraged. If it doesn't, then you're a terrible person.
No, you're only allowed to be outraged if you're a certain type of person. If you're a certain person with a certain, in a certain crowd, you're allowed to have opinions. But if you're anybody else, you're either ignored, like if you're a woman, or you are the cause of everything wrong with everything because you're a man baby who clearly lives in their mom's basement and, doesn't get any. So
yeah, I love that. That was the worst, and we had a previous video. The worst headline I think I've ever read for any of these things, basically implying that everybody who hates the new Shira, the direction of the new Shira, is a man baby incel. I actually called them incels in the headline.
They're just trying to show off their fancy internet knowledge.
What, that they've been to 4chan?
I know what incel
I mean, come on.
is,
Oh my God. And it was a dude that wrote the article.
Well, he has to make sure that they know that he's on their side.
That's exactly what this is about. But this is just, it's hypocrisy. This, I mean, really for me, just solidify, because you're going to see more and more. I think you're going to see more and more of the same two dozen media outlets.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans have spoken, and none of them are excited about the newly announced reboot. Guess what? Shira fans are pissed off too, but that doesn't count. General consensus on the internet seems to be that the original series was pretty much perfect as is. So was Shira. And there's no nostalgic value in do it over again. Well, guess what? Same for Shira. Let's change this. What Shira fans have spoken, and most of them aren't excited about the newly announced reboot. The general consensus on the internet, it seems that the original series was pretty much perfect, and there's no nostalgic value to doing it over again. Change Buffy with Shira, and there you go. Same argument, people. Same argument.
Yeah. So does the Buffy anger have anything to do with Joss Whedon's personal life? Yeah, Joss Whedon's come under attack. I think that might actually play into it somewhat, but I still think that this is because this actually means something to them.
So I mean, if they come out and said, "Hey, I'm not liking it," but well, we're all about changing things and rebooting things, and I understand it's not for me. Then okay, fine. But they're not. They're acting like big babies.
You're upset over cartoon Geeky Sparkles. Buffy's a real person.
Buffy's not
She's
real.
She's got feelings. Yeah.
Buffy's been 2 people already.
Yeah, this is just, God, I don't know. And yeah, I mean, really, the reason that everybody reboots everything is it's a brand recognition, you know. But like other people said, we've said before, you know, what is the point of rebooting a show if you're going to make it unrecognizable and piss off the core audience anyway? Because again, when you know, have new Shira, but this is what you're trying to sell, you know, these $200 dolls.
Well, you know, I like to see them do, even like what Hasbro did, where they do like the, and Mattel, if you're listening to this, here's an idea for you. Hasbro does that thing where they crowdfund their new toys, basically, like they did it with Star Wars and stuff. And they different play sets they want to bring out, so they do a crowdfunding for it. And then real fans can, like, who want to pay for this, can back it. And when it hits like a certain amount of money or hits a certain amount of backers, they're going to go into production with it. They did it with a Jabba sail barge. Why don't you do that? Like, if you want these dolls or whatever, if you want these classic Shiras, we'll do them, but we'll do it as a crowdfunding so that we can make sure people who want them get them. You know, at least that way, you know, you make it if you get enough, if you don't make it if you don't, you know.
Why don't they just do that in general with media? Why don't they say, hey, how much interest would there be in a, you know, a Shira reboot or a He-Man reboot, you know, and let the people with the money actually decide what they want to spend their money on, what they want to buy.
Well, I'm completely down the Shira reboot that looks like Shira. That, I mean, if you want to change other characters and make them maybe, you know, you want to do this, what you did with Shira with another character, I wouldn't care. If you made it a sequel, I wouldn't care. But you're taking Shira, the iconic Shira, who is like a feminist symbol, and I love her to death. She's like another Wonder Woman, and you're going to tone her down to be that she's very, it's like very, she's very, like when she's Adora, she's feminine-ish, but when she's Shira, she does not look like a girl. I'm like, why would you do that to a character called Shira? Yeah, I'm just saying, Shira.
Hasbro demanding crowdfunding is insolent. They're the biggest toy company.
I agree with you on that. I know what you're saying. I mean, they could afford to do it. I
yes
did
and
say
no.
That too.
Here's the thing. Hasbro, you know, they got beat up pretty badly over Star Wars.
Well, that's true.
They made these huge walkers and these big play sets that are languishing on toy shelves out there. Well, if you can't find Toys R Us now, but they're still in the bargain bins. You can still find Force Awakens Falcons at discount stores. They can't really. I don't think Hasbro, as big as they are, can really afford to mass produce a lot of these huge play sets like they used to do, because there's no guarantee they're going to sell them.
Well, it's a win-win for everybody, because then Hasbro makes as many as they need, and then the market decides if it's worth it or not. So I think it's a win-win on both sides. I do see your point, though, both your points, because it's like when these big publishers were going to do Kickstarters for their comic runs.
Archie, Archie was going to do that, and I think they pulled it because they got so much heat for, why is Archie Comics kickstarting comic books? Like, can't you afford? Then it started to like send red flags. People like, oh my God, Archie Comics can't afford to print their comic books anymore. Fantagraphics did the same thing.
Yes, Fantagraphics did.
Fantagraphics did. They got a couple 100,000 on Kickstarter.
Yeah. So yeah, I see both points to this. I think it's market, but then again, letting the market decide. It's market driven, which is what this stuff should be. It's market driven, and I've also noticed, and I can't be the only one who noticed this. They keep putting people in charge of these kids shows that don't have children. I'm not trying to be. It's not just, it's graphic novels too, because we work in the graphic novels, and there are people who repeatedly keep getting book deals, and they have no kids, but they're marketing their books to kids. Now, I'm not saying you have to have a kid to understand kids. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, they don't have any. They're not teachers. They're not parents. But they get to decide what kids should be fed and what kids should be given to read and what kids should like and not like. But they don't have kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's odd. I mean, well, again, that's just that demographic, because really, the quote unquote SJW demographic, a lot of times they are child free. A lot of times, they're, even if they're married, they're just kind of like they're not really interested.
But they get to decide what children should and shouldn't have.
Which is odd. I mean, it's kind of an odd.
It is odd, and it makes me mad. And then you hear these people like they get these book deals, and they call it earning out. Like that means you got your advance, and then you sell your book, and if you earn out, that means that you paid back what your advance was, and then you can turn around, and then you can start getting profits, royalties, and that kind of thing. There are several people that we know of who are like, my books don't earn out, but they get another book deal. And I'm like, why the hell are they getting another book deal when they didn't earn out in the last two? And then other people who might have a good shot at getting, something new, they won't allow in because they're not the in crowd, you know, so they will rather lose money than bring in somebody else who might actually sell.
And that's another video, and we need to do that, about the ins and outs of graphic novel publishing and publishing industry in general. The New York publishing scene has a lot more pull on the modern comic book industry than,
and even films and TV,
and even
it's
films
all
and TV,
about getting those deals,
right? Than most comic book YouTubers seem to realize.
Well, yeah, like Noelle Stevenson got put in charge of Shira because she did books with the agencies and out of New York, and we know which agency it was for other reasons.
Yeah,
and she got that, and then because why else would they put her on there? She has no experience doing shows, no experience being a showrunner. She did a couple books that her own thing didn't do great. The other thing she worked on with a group did better. And then she did a couple episodes of a couple shows for Disney, and now she's show running. Based on what?
Based on the fact that she was the right kind of person.
Right, and she was tied to the New York
And she was tied to the New York publishing scene.
I know it was kind of like just to prove to your point, it was rhetorical, but yeah.
I'm a guy. You have to explain things in small bites.
That's not true.
Because I'm a man, baby, and I don't understand. No, but this is true. The New York publishing scene has a lot of sway over what you're seeing in comic books now, what you're seeing in Hollywood right now. A lot of it can be traced back to New York. Everybody keeps going Portland. In floppy comics, yeah. The real power is in New York,
which is a whole other story. Which we have to do. We have to do a webcomic thing about that too, because Webtoons, for example, is going that way too, which is a whole other thing. But anyway, we're going too long. But I'm just saying. I mean, my whole point of this whole thing was hypocrisy is bullshit. If you see hypocrisy, call it out. This is hypocrisy.
Awful men.
You know, this is hypocrisy. Yeah, that makes me mad too. Women who disagree, but at least you get acknowledged. Yeah. Women who don't like Shira don't get acknowledged at all. Like, you don't exist. Like, because you don't fall into the narrative of awful men. Man, at least they didn't call you man babies.
Kids are begging their parents to buy Steven Universe toys. I don't think so. No, they're not. And we're seeing Steven Universe toys on clearance all over the place.
Our kids like Steven Universe, and they never asked for the toys.
No, because the toys aren't really. I mean, they're not. It's not a very toyetic show to begin with, you know.
Now they watch Gravity Falls too, and I was sad there wasn't a whole lot of stuff for that. They had more stuff after it was over.
Yeah, because it takes so long to produce this stuff. So like after Gravity Falls is over, that's when they start coming out with the toys, and you're starting to see more of the toys and the tie-in media and stuff like that now after it's ended. But Gravity Falls, I still think has a bigger actual kid audience than
I
Steven
see
Universe.
kids all the time are like, "Did you watch Gravity Falls?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yes, I did."
I don't hear kids.
Yes, I did.
Now we had someone in the comments say that they were introduced to Steven Universe via a 9-year-old, which I mean I believe that. I'm just saying, just in my personal experience, it seems like they're always talking about Gravity Falls. They talk about Star. They talk about
Star's fun too.
But Steven Universe not so. It's usually teenagers.
Well, you know what? Here's the funny thing too. Kids are gonna go with what you give them. And that's that's what's working with graphic novels and stuff, because if you give them these people's books, they're going to buy it because they don't really have a choice in other things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Same with TV shows. If it's put in front of them on Cartoon Network or Disney XD or whatever, they're going to go with that because that's what they know. They aren't knowing there's another option out there. So they're going to sell it because the kids are going to buy it because that's what they know. That's what they're given to watch. So, you know, that is what it is. Except YouTube has now stepped in and is...
Well, that's
equalizing things a bit.
What's really interesting, because most kids, you ask them what their favorite shows are, they're going to start rattling off a list of YouTube celebrities. Our kids,
they watch YouTube.
They don't watch TV anymore.
I don't think they even watch. I mean, they watch TV occasionally. They watch Adventure Time and Gravity Falls, like on Hulu or Netflix, and the rest of the time they are on YouTube watching YouTubers all day.
Yeah, and the thing is that the quote unquote SJWs can't do YouTube very effectively because you really have to connect with people. And this is my personal opinion. I have no scientific data to back this up. I think you have to connect
it's your man knowledge.
It's my mansplaining.
You know, because you're going to mansplain us all right now.
Okay, darling. Quiet, men are
he
talking.
Doesn't say Tom, what would happen normally if you said that to me in seriousness?
You'd fetch my slippers.
No, seriously.
You'd hand me my teeth.
Yeah.
So my personal opinion, I think the reason that like SJW types can't do YouTube very well is because you have to connect with all sorts of real people on a real, like an actual like human level, and they're incapable of doing that. That's my personal opinion. I think the personality is not there.
Well, I think it's a generate. Not because I mean, millennials can be 30-some years old. I'm not talking about that, but I'm saying in general, a lot of the younger people, they grew up with social media, they grew up with the internet, they grew up with all this stuff, and they're already seeing they've proven this scientifically that they're seeing communication issues in people. They don't know how. That's why they think depression's on the rise. They don't know how to connect with other people other than using the internet.
Yeah.
And I think that's everything's getting skewed kind of that way, and they actually have proven that.
And they think everything is about them. I mean, it's sad, really, because you can't connect with other people. You can't.
But it's not for them.
Yeah, but you can't listen to other people's ideas. You can't share ideas. You can't.
Yeah, there's no discussion anymore.
A judgment call. So you basically think your world is your opinion, and everything in your small circle of friends or acquaintances or whatever you have, your Facebook group, your Tumblr buddies, whatever. That's your world, and anything that challenges that does not compute.
Which is why I think you get this whole thing of where you can't either have to agree 100%. If you only agree 90%, you're still the enemy because you didn't agree 100%. And we've had actually friends recently unfollow us and stuff on because you don't we like this and you don't, so I have to unfollow you. I'm like, I cannot like Shira and you can like it and we can still be friends. We just won't talk about Shira. I mean, there is no that anymore. You how dare you bleepity bleep bleep bleep, and then I'm unfollowing you, and it's like, well, thank you, because my life's easier now.
What do we think of Batman the Animated Series coming to Blu-ray? I think it's awesome. Batman the Animated Series is, in my personal opinion, the best incarnation of Batman ever.
It was good.
To hit the screens. It's still, like, every time I think of, like, the perfect Batman, like, what is the perfect Batman? I always think of Batman the Animated Series because they took, like, all these different versions of Batman and they sort of, like, distilled it down into the essence of Batman. Like, if you could bottle Batman, I don't know what that would smell like. It'd probably smell pretty freaking terrible. But if you could bottle Batman, it would be the animated series version of Batman. It would
smell like the night and guano.
And stinky tights. And wealth. And mystery.
And musty money. It's all good.
And moldy money. Yeah. But no, I freaking love Batman the Animated Series. That, to me, that's like I did grow up reading Batman comics, but they took the best of the comics from various creators and just sort of like mushed it into this perfect Batman.
If they could do that kind of thing with Shira, with Ghostbusters, with Star Wars, I think people would be okay with it. But they're not taking let's look at what works and what is the best part about these characters, and we'll hold on to that. But we'll just update them. They're not doing that like they did with Batman the Animated Series. If they had done that with this stuff, I don't think you'd have half the backlash you're having.
Instead of celebrating what worked, they're trying to find.
They don't like what worked. They're trying to bury what worked.
Yeah, and
they're trying to mold it again in their own image,
right.
Their own, well, in this case, literally their own image, but they're trying to mold it again in their own incarnation and what their own ideas. I'm going to make it Shira my way. If I was in charge, I'm going to do it this way. Anyway, we're going really long, so.
Matsuka, I mean,
we'll keep this quick. He always says that.
Yeah, we always do.
But then I'm talking, so.
Favorite episode is Grey Ghost. Yeah, that was one of the best ones. I liked Almost Got Him too, where the villains are sitting around and they're talking about how they almost got Batman, and the best one was like Killer Croc. He's like, I think he's like, I hit him with a rock or something like that. And they've got these like elaborate stories of how they almost got Batman. Killer Croc's just like, I hit him with a rock or something. I forget. It's been a couple of years since I've seen it, but Batman the Animated Series is so good.
So are we ready to wrap
That's
this
a
up?
reboot we need. Actually not a reboot, but a continuation.
The DVD make a sequel to that.
I mean, we got Batman Beyond, but I would like to see something in between.
Did. But Batman Beyond wasn't terrible either, but it wasn't as good.
It wasn't as good. I didn't really care for it.
But they did the whole thing where, it was him when he was older, and then he's passing it on.
Right, it worked. It was a sequel series, and I could see them doing that with like Shira or some of those shows.
I think people wouldn't be so upset. I mean, people would be upset because they want Shira back. But they want Shira back as basically Shira, but a modern version of Shira that's still Shira and not Vera.
And they could even get the original voice actors back, since it would be a sequel. They would be aged, get them back to reprise their roles. I mean, it doesn't even have to be done in like Filmation style, but at least the characters being recognizable as themselves. I think that would have probably
Shira could be on there. She could be like He-Man's mom was on there.
She could be like the new sorceress, basically.
She could be like the sorceress, because she's Tila's mom and everything. It would be like that, and it would be awesome, and that would work. But nope, can't have that.
No.
Anyway,
that
so
would be
anyway,
too easy.
Hypocrisy sucks.
Yeah, we're gonna
Make
put
sure you
this
do
in.
the hashtags
Hypocrisy.
for Shira.
Hypocrisy.
Do me a favor and hashtag you want
Oh,
you
yeah.
want
Tell Mattel.
Hashtag we want more
We
Shira.
want more Shira. If you actually want classic Shira, you have to tell Mattel, because I think they're at a crossroads right now where they're like, where do we go with this franchise? They're sort of doing these weird commercials with He-Man and stuff. He-Man's shilling everything, Geico and
that was great.
But that was
though.
hilarious. But I mean, still, it was just
what was the commercial? Was that the commercial with Skeletor and they were dancing?
I think that was Geico. They had another
I don't
one.
remember. I love that thing. That was the best thing ever. I was like, oh my god, that's hilarious. Anyway, anything else?
No, just I mean this. I'm thinking at some point this is all going to come to a head where a lot of these reboots or reimaginings are going to fail miserably, and then everybody's going to be forced to actually come up with original ideas again. Because remember, every reboot is a reboot of something that was once brand new. I remember when I was a kid, there always used to be brand new cartoons.
Always, and some would do well and some wouldn't.
Some did and some didn't. Yeah, I mean, for every Transformers, you had like Mighty Orbots or something that just never took off, like Transformers and Voltron.
I think most everybody is in agreement that we want to see more originality and less reboots every stinking thing on movies and television. Stranger Things does a good job. It's like basically an homage to the 80s. But it's not a reboot of anything, but it's a new show, it's original, but it takes those things that people love and it just plays on that. That works out great, things like that.
Yeah, and I've seen some, even some comic book series that sort of like were He-Man-esque that took some of those, elements of He-Man, but it was still a new thing. I don't think people will be complaining if DreamWorks was doing a fantasy show featuring strong female characters that wasn't Shira. They had that art. So I don't think people would be complaining. They'd be like, "Oh, this looks kind of cool. I'll check it out."
Yeah, check it out. But you can't take Shira and make her not a she. Well, she's supposed to be a she, but you know what I'm saying? It's like that's not Shira. This is not Shira.
It is now.
No, I refuse to accept it.
It's not for you, Geeky. It's not for you. And you can't complain because you're a man baby.
Because I don't own it, so I can't. I'm allowed to complain. The only ones allowed to complain are people that are mad about Buffy.
Jamie Tron says there is originality like Attack on Titan. Yeah, I agree with that. Actually, you look at manga, you look at anime. There's a lot of One Punch Man and a lot of new.
They have a lot of great things.
A lot of really original concepts coming out of Japan. And just America is just like, let's just go back to the same well. Hey, it worked 30 years ago.
I blame the studios and people in charge of this. I really do, and the toy companies and stuff, because they already have the licenses. They don't want to make up something new, and the studios don't want to take risks on new things. So we will take a risk on something that we know has an audience, but then they piss on the audience, and then they're like,
there's no point.
But it's not for you.
Yeah,
well, it was, because the only reason the studio agreed to do it was because it had a built-in audience and it was established IP, which meant it's for me.
Yeah.
Kiss my butt.
Yeah, it's just sad that this is how creativity dies. Like, and this is why I think you're not seeing a lot of new comic book characters and stuff. We talked about like new characters, new minority characters, you're not seeing it because I think a lot of the people who are making these things now are incapable of coming up with good original ideas.
Or if they did, I don't think they're allowed to do them anyway.
Well, that could be partially true too, but it just seems like everybody's basically a paid fanfic author now.
Pretty much.
I mean, instead of just coming up with new things, everybody's making fan fiction and they're getting paid for it. Not very well, but they're getting paid to make their fanfic.
Right, yeah. So I mean, that's pretty much what it is. But hypocrisy is hypocrisy. I keep trying to wrap it up and then you keep taking off on a tangent. Hypocrisy is hypocrisy. That's what we're talking about here. It is the exact same argument on both sides. What they're getting mad about is the same thing that the Shira fans are getting mad about. Why does it need a reboot? And if you do a reboot, why do you have to change it so much? And everything else. Same argument, same thing.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
So you guys are hypocrites.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're hypocrites.
Don't listen to anything these people have to say more, because at this point, if they're going to attack Star Wars fans or Shira fans or Transformers fans or whatever, you seriously, at this point, Mary Sue, Vox, IO9, all these other news outlets, you do not have a leg to stand on because you're hypocrites.
Yeah, and if you had just been like, said back to these people like, hey, I get why you don't like Buffy, but give it a chance. Maybe it's not for you, and the same argument, then I would have respected you at least. Anyway.
Oh, well, thank you. This is from a woman. Another super chat. You did not have to do that, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Now I can go get my Catra.
Those saying that breasts on the character are just for boys to wank to and not natural don't see how horrible that sounds to little girls who already feel self-conscious about their development. Thank you.
Our daughter she's developing, and and she I know she's self-conscious about it. So we understand that too. So I'm just like,
that's awesome. Yeah, because I mean, our daughter, she's 11. She's got, you're basically telling, and there are girls out there who sometimes, they develop faster than other girls. They feel really bad about it, and now they're like, well, having boobs.
Well, I want to be like Shira, but Shira has no chest, so I can't be like Shira. You know what I mean? And I know it sounds silly, but it's, as a person who has been a girl my whole life, I am a girl. That it is hard, and and I'm gonna stop right now because look, you're giving me.
I'm trying to think of something.
Jokes. I can see
I'm trying to think of something clever and non-offensive, but I can't.
I'm just saying what she said. I agree with that. Yes,
I completely agree with that. And thank you so much. Again, we're not fishing for money doing these live streams. Just it's easier for us to just go live and stream directly to YouTube than it is to sit down and edit a video and export. We're kind of short on time.
And you might have to take off again a couple days. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
So, okay, guys, we will talk to you later. I'm sorry this went long. Every time Tom says it's going to be a short video, it never is. So
no, there's so much to talk about because we are really at a crossroads. I think. Pop culture at this point, like I'm worried. I mean, we said about somebody said on here, and I agree with this. This is how creativity dies with thunderous applause. If
nice
creators,
Star Wars reference there,
but no, this is true. If creators stop making new things and they just keep going back to the well and dredging up older ideas to give them their own personal rinse, eventually we're not going to have any more new franchises. Right. We're not going to have any more new ideas. We're not going to have any new superheroes. There will never be another Star Wars because we just keep going back to Star Wars and pissing with it.
It's okay to be inspired by things. I mean, everything's been done pretty much. I mean, it's okay to take inspiration. Like, I like these 3 things and I can combine them in a new way to make an exciting show. That's fine. No problem with that. If you want to take something that exists and you want to do a spin-off of maybe another part of the world, or maybe with new characters like Children of or whatever, that's cool. But stop taking things people like, and then pissing on them and then telling them, people that like them, that they're wrong for being upset. Because that's bullcrap. And then you guys that like Buffy and are mad about this, you're wrong because they want to change it and you're wrong. So there you go.
Somebody here said, and I kind of agree with it. Said Sons of Atlas, 98 to 2011 were the best years to be a kid. Now that's when our son grew up. Mm-hmm. And there still was a lot of original stuff being done. Now they did bring back, some of the I love the 2002 He-Man. I grew up with the original He-Man. I actually prefer the 2002 He-Man to the original He-Man.
It was really good. We always watched it.
Transformers came back. They had a couple of good shows with Transformers.
I liked Sailor Moon.
Yeah, Sailor Moon. But they also had some really good original stuff. And it just seems like in the last 5 to 10 years that there is nothing. It's just constantly regurgitating the same.
I also remember too, though, and it wasn't really back when they had, remember that time at all the movies, there'd be 3 of the same movie coming out, and it wasn't really regurgitating, but everybody copy each other.
Yeah.
We had Dante's Peak and, Volcano at the same time. And then there was, it was Armageddon, and then what was the other one? I forget.
Oh, Deep Impact.
Deep Impact at the same time. And it was there was a span of time where there was original ideas, but they were copying each other, and it's they got word, and then
Bugs
they do the
Life
same
and
movie.
Ants, because Disney was mad.
I mean, this was original,
DreamWorks,
but it was weird. I mean, that kind of is a sidetrack, but I thought that was weird.
No, but I guess what the bigger concern here, it's I think there is a bigger issue. I really do think that
I remember Code Lyoko.
Code Lyoko was pretty good.
Yeah, someone said that.
It was
Yeah,
pretty
I
good.
remember Code
Yeah.
Lyoko.
And our son watched that. He actually thought it was pretty cool too. But no, I think the bigger issue here is eventually, if we don't, this doesn't change, it's basically going to be the 1980s forever, but a bastardized version of the 1980s. Everything is just being,
which is if you're an actual kid of the 80s or a fan of the 80s, it's kind of painful to watch, but they don't understand that. They think that
it's
they'll
hipsters.
love it.
It's like hipsters buying vinyl.
God.
What the hell? You wereren't even alive. You weren't even alive when they
vinyl.
stopped making records.
And that's okay.
You stopped selling records in Walmart.
And we like it. The reason he said that is because it was so funny. So I go to Goodwill a lot. I like thrift stores. One, you can find cool stuff, and I just love it. So I was in the thrift store, and I was there, and in walks these people. and they're like 25-ish, and of course the guys got the beard and man bun, and they have the sweaters.
Every
they have like,
cliche
literally
ever.
sweaters like from the 70s and clothes like some 70s on.
I was not there.
Anyway, it was so funny. And what did you say to me? I said they were going to look, see something about the vinyl. What did you say? You texted me.
Oh, I think I said something. I said, well, oh, they're hipsters. They're just there for the vinyl.
And then I turn around and the
vintage
guy
clothes.
and the guy is literally on the floor spreading all the records out around him. I'm like, who does that? You go to Goodwill, you sit on the floor and you spread them all around you to make a big show of how you're going through the vinyl. And I mean, this is unrelated to anything, but I just thought it was hilarious because if you like it, that's okay. But if you're just there to make a big show about it, just to be like,
you want a big show. If you're spreading on the floor, you're making a big show. You want people.
Why would you want to spread anything on the floor of a thrift store anyway? But I'm
Why
just
would you
saying.
sit on the floor of a thrift store? Have you seen the filth?
So I got a good record here. Let me rub it on the ground first before I buy it. But I'm just like, it was just the whole effort they put in to make this big show. But look how down I am with this. Look how hipster I am. And I thought it was hilarious because I'm like, dude, you're so fake. It's not even funny. It was just funny. I'm sorry.
No, it's completely true. Somebody asked, what do you think about Mattel making an entire toy line of Masters of the Universe for adult collector males, but demanding women begging for Shira to add salt to injury?
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is...
I have been pissed about this for a long time. Just saying. They did have Shira ones, but they gave them molded hair. And I'm like, cause they had Shira ones, but they were still Shira figures made for male collectors.
Okay, so the Masters of the Universe Classics line actually had, they re-released, I think, most of the original, I can look this up. Here,
they had them. They did have them. They had them out, and they were part of the Masters of the Universe Classic line, and they had the Shira toys. But and they weren't bad. They weren't terrible. They were cute. I was gonna buy some. I didn't get to, but I was so mad because they made them with molded hair, and they were pretty much like action figures for the guys. And I used to complain about it all the time. You can vouch for this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like these, but why do they have to have molded hair? It's like they're not for girls, they're for guys. And I used to get into it. Hey, there's a Christmas one. That's fun.
Christmas Shira. Oh man, that's awesome.
That's a custom. Hey. That's awesome. Anyway, but and it does seem like even now, Super 7, they're doing all kinds of. Now they are starting to do Shira.
Yeah, Super 7.
But they started out doing all the Masters of the Universe, and I was like, and I like Masters of the Universe. I do. I like He-Man.
There was, I'm not to interrupt here, but there was an interview with the creators of the 2000 with Mattel back in the early 2000s when they had the re-release. And they said that they would bring Shira out, but they always viewed Shira as being the Ropers, like it was a spin-off.
Right.
And that's literally what they used.
It is, but she isn't.
Now, I don't want Iron Maiden.
If you go up to licenses in the upper left corner. Okay,
yeah, these are on pre-order. Super 7's actually bringing back the 5-inch figures.
Hey, if you want to buy me that Shira, I will not be mad at that. But I would prefer a Shira with hair, which is why I'm looking at right now. I'm going back, and I was on eBay trying to find vintage Shira figures because I was looking at actually prior to all this fiasco. Because I mean, yeah, that's cool and all, but they seem like there's an extension of the He-Man figures for guys. They don't have the fashions. They don't have the hair. Not that you have to. You know what I'm saying? They aren't the same. They aren't the same.
Well, I think what they're going for here, one, I love that they're doing the 5-inch figures in the original packaging. But I think what they're doing is they're basically making Shira as if she were part of the Masters of the Universe line because she looks like Teela or Evelyn or the Sorceress. But I love that she's got the mini comic and all of that.
Mini comics were like my favorite things about Shira. I love the Shira dolls. We went and bought the book because when I was a kid, I loved the mini comics. I remember sitting in my room with my Shira dolls and reading all the comics. I just loved the comics. They were the best part.
But they're going, now this is a 2-pack they had at San Diego too. But no, they've got Hordak in blue because, he was blue in the cartoon show. But I like what they did with He-Man and Skeletor. They actually made them look like the animated version. So Skeletor, instead of having the claw feet like the original, he's actually got the boots on. He looks, his face is more simplistic.
But they weren't asking about the boy figures, Tom.
No, but what I'm saying is they're bringing them back, but they're making them for adult male collectors.
That's what they're saying.
Was the point.
And my point is, I will buy them probably because I want them, but I am upset that they are more for male collectors than they are for the female collectors. And no one ever seems to make them for the female collectors, which is why I was so excited to see the dolls from Mattel at San Diego. I was like, okay, I am all about that. All about this. And they know that women want the rooted hair. That's why they brought the dolls out with the rooted hair. because they knew.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out which year it was that they had the smaller San Diego Shira with rooted hair.
Yeah, I know.
Now,
I had her, but
this is the collector edition Shira. This is
have
one that
this
Geeky
one.
has, and it's cool because she's got.
And look, she
got
looks like a
different-
woman.
Yeah, you can
She's
dress
pretty.
her up and comb her hair. It's really cool.
I don't know because I'm allowed to take her out of the box.
Well, she's like $200.
I don't care. Look how pretty she is.
I know, isn't she?
See, look, she's allowed to be pretty, and then she'll kick your ass. It's all good.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think they just, Shira just sort of, a lot of male collectors kind of, started to. Oh, this is the one we had here. There we go.
Oh yeah, see, and she
had
had
rooted
rooted hair.
Yeah.
And that was so. I think they are aware they needed, for females they needed rooted hair, but they just keep not doing that, which irritates me. We're gonna have to wrap it up here soon. Though.
Yeah,
it's like
we're
getting
kind of
late.
running along. If the Shira reboot fails, what do you think will happen to the fan base? I don't know. I think if the show succeeds, I think it's going to be the Steven Universe audience. I think it'll be Tumblr fans. I think it'll live on in fan art. But will it be commercially viable as a toy line? No, I don't think it will be because they don't buy toys.
I think I'm thinking.
There's always gonna be a market
I think
for the
Mattel
collector
is doing these things, these figures and these dolls as a contingency plan. I
Yeah.
mean, they kind of know it's not going to do as well as I think they're doing it as okay. If this fails, we still have the classic fans and we still could reach them. So I think I don't know what's going to do the fandom.
It's just like Transformers. They had the two
think,
lines.
Right. I do think they're still going to keep doing stuff for the fandom because they know it exists.
Yeah.
They're not stupid. They know that they make a lot of money on these things.
Yeah,
so.
the classics sell really well. Fans will drop $100 on an exclusive action figure. New Adventures of He-Man, it was okay. It wasn't, I didn't grow up with the New Adventures of He-Man. It was kind of odd to see He-Man in space, but they did a space version of Shira, which I thought was pretty cool.
I knew that.
Yeah, but I think Geeky's right. I think this is plan B. This is do they have a Frosta too?
No, it's a Tosa.
Oh, Natosa. Oh wow. Okay. So this is plan B. I think if that's cool. I didn't even see the Natosa one.
Were they actually out, or they? Because I don't remember seeing.
No, these
those.
are prototypes.
Yeah, these are prototypes, and they never made them.
This is what
So
they
hey,
will
Mattel,
make.
I like those too, and I'd buy those as well. Just saying, yeah.
Work in progress.
Yeah, they never released them, so
No.
I'm just saying, I'm all down with this. If you want my money, you can have it. Just give me this. That's all I'm asking. I will buy it from you. Just crowdfund it or make the dang things, but I will buy these gladly.
Yeah. Same commenter said I was pissed they brought them back again. Because Shira was actually supposed to be in season 3 of the 2002 series.
I was so excited. I was so waiting for it, and then they canceled it.
They were already teasing Etheria. They had Hordak making an appearance. They were going to bring Shira into the show, and then they pulled the plug on 2002 He-Man. So
I was so mad.
that did suck. But I think she'll get her day in the sun again. I don't know if it's going to be the DreamWorks version, but
well, we'll see. Like I said, if it turns out to be good, I will say it's good. I'm not one of those people that just want to keep hating on something just to hate on it. If it comes out like with Solo, we liked it. I mean, not everybody did, and that's cool. We liked it, and we said so. If we're wrong, we'll say, hey, we're wrong about this. We're not, so up our own asses that we can't do that. See, look how cool that is. I know. If I could open it up, I could show you how cool it is. Anyway,
I think we're going to wrap this one up. Just, again, the whole point of this being, if it means something to you, you are allowed to say that
only some people are allowed to.
Some people are allowed to say that they don't want to see a reboot. They'll do mental acrobatics to justify why they're right, but the rest of fandoms are wrong. But at the end of it, it means something to them. Shira means nothing to them. Star Wars means nothing to them. Comic books mean nothing to them. But hey, you mess with Buffy,
you better watch out.
You better watch out.
So and like I said, what I'm angry about is they keep making it out like it's all men who hate it when it is a strong majority of females who are really not liking the Shira, and they just act like we don't exist, so they can blame it on the same old people they want to blame it on every time.
Awful man babies. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this one up. Thanks everybody for stopping in. Thanks for those who gave the super chat. Thank you very much. Weren't asking for it, but it is definitely appreciated.
We never know when we're doing live streams.
Yeah, we never know.
I just happened to get pissed off, so I said I need to go live because I'm mad.
Yeah, in this case, she saw the Mary Sue
I was
article.
so mad.
And again, I have to give credit where credit is due. I saw it from just some guy posted it on Twitter. I do like his channel. You should go follow his channel. He's got a very, very good grasp, I think, of what's going on now. And I retweeted it, and Geeky saw it. She's like, "What in the actual?" Because she remembers the Mary Sue busting on people who didn't like Shira. Now they're turning around and saying that the reboot of Buffy is not a good idea.
For the same reason.
For the same reason.
The Shira fans are mad. So, okay. So, we'll have to go.
We're going. Okay.
We are going, for real.
Okay. Please subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications. When we do go live, you'll get a notification. And, yeah. So we'll
talk to you later.
Talk later.